Hi everyone, I am Kenzie Foreman, and this is my presentation on the national origin discrimination under the Civil Rights Act. So let's get into it. First, we're going to start off covering some background information about the Act. It's Title VII of the Civil Rights Act, and it was enacted in 1964. It protects employees based on race, color, religion, sex, and national origin. It was enacted by Congress in July of 1964. First, some people were critical because they thought it was an overreach of federal power, but the majority of the people saw that it was a good step in ending racial and ethnic discrimination, which was really important. And many states have adapted their laws to kind of mirror the federal law that was put in place under this act. And we'll get into that in the next slide. So these are some counterparts of the National Origin Discrimination Act. Some other federal ones that are kind of similar to that act would be like the Equal Pay Act. This one mostly focuses on eliminating gender discrimination between like wage and equal rights of like work environment and stuff like that, regardless of your gender. Another one is the Age Discrimination Act. This one protects people who are over the age of 40 from being discriminated against because of their age in their employment. And then we have a state act that is the Michigan Act that's close to the Discrimination Origin Act. And it's the Michigan Elliott Larson Civil Rights Act. And it prohibits discrimination based on all of the things said in the Title VII of the Civil Rights Act, which is race, gender, national origin, religion. It protects those characteristics. Up next, we're going to talk about compliance-related information, like who's in charge of monitoring national origin discrimination and what are the consequences of it. The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, the EEOC, is tasked with enforcing the Title VII Civil Rights Act, and they investigate complaints that are filed by employees and see like if the employer was really doing the things that the accusations were about and stuff like that. They just really look into it more. And if they do find out that the company was breaking all these rules, they can issue a right to sue letter, which gives the compliance the right to file a lawsuit against the company, maybe get like a payout or something like that. They also offer mediation services to help resolve disputes before they move to like actual litigation and you end up in a courtroom, because we all know that that takes time. So this helps speed some of that up, get rid of some of that court procedures. And then they can also issue fines, penalties, and injunctions and legal fees to these companies. So even though they already have to pay a settlement or something like that to the hurted individual or individuals, they can also just be paying the EEOC as an extra fine for what they've done. All right, the first case I found was the EEOC versus Jacksonville National Life Insurance Company. This happened in New York, and they discriminated against African American women when it came to promotions and pay, and then also retaliated on the women when they complained about it. So that poses two major problems. One, that she was discriminated against on a protected class, and then two, she was retaliated against after she made the complaint because they were doing something they weren't supposed to. And employers are required under the Title VII to keep the workplace free from harassment based on protected characteristics. And if there are complaints, then the employer must take action to fix it and prevent the situation from happening. And this just didn't happen at that workplace. Some of them were let go, some of them were blocked from ever coming back to that company again, and then some of them just got treated really poorly and demoted, and that's not okay. And the Jacksonville Life Insurance Company settled outside of court for $20.5 million to 21 individuals with all similar stories. And then the company agreed to implement measures to prevent its workplace from having issues like this again. So they really wanted to resolve the situation, which they should after the big hefty fine they got for breaking the rules in the first place. The second case that I chose was the EEOC versus JBS USA LLC. In this case, it was against race, national origin, and religious discrimination at a beef processing plant. It stated that Black and Somalian employees were subject to racial and ethnic harassment because they were physically abused and slurred at and harassed while they were at work. And JBS denied the Muslim employees to pray, even though it was required by their religion. Even if it was like their scheduled work breaks, they were not allowed to pray at work, which breaks some of the ACTS laws that they have in place. And JBS agreed to pay $5.5 million to compensate around 300 affected employees. So this one was quite severe because it was a very large number that was happening. 300 employees being discriminated against because of their culture and ethnicity and background. So they did have to pay a pretty hefty fine to these employees for a settlement. Alright, now we are to manager recommendations. I came up with a couple ideas. My first idea would be to develop clear policies. This kind of like sets the standard. This is how things are going to be run. And that obviously starts with like higher up level management. Developing these clear anti-discrimination policies can prohibit it from happening in the first place, get rid of the idea of it all in general, and it really helps promote a culture of inclusivity and diversity in the workplace, which is really important. And then you will have a clear process with how to handle discrimination complaints as they arise, because all complaints should be taken very seriously. My other recommendation would be to implement training or education programs. Regular training is really important to kind of set in stone those policies that you have in place and continue it down the line. So it starts up here at the management and it'll follow down to all the lower level employees because they're trained and educated on it as well. And then conduct monitoring to make sure that like hiring and these promotions are not affecting their employees based on their national origin or any other of the protector characteristics. You really have to monitor that and make sure that that stuff's not happening behind closed doors because you never know, it could be. So implementing a system to track that would be very beneficial. And lastly, these are the sources I used for this presentation, and I used a lot from the EEOC's website because they had a lot of good information. I got both of my cases from their website as well, and I also used our textbook. I hope you guys liked our presentation. Bye!